What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Anthony's Garage. It is almost summertime here in the Midwest, which means we're working with the door open today. Now in this episode, we're going to be doing some extensive work on this C5 Corvette right here. Now you can see one interesting thing about this car. It's got some numbers on the side of it, got some stickers. This is a dedicated track car in need of quite a bit of work, but just taking a look around on it, pretty cool. I think it's only got like 40,000 miles on it. Presumably these are some of the tracks this guy's probably raced at. I'm not sure which track this one is though. I'll have to ask the guy that owns it, see if he can let me know what state it's in or what country. It looks like it's got some alternate routing though, just kind of like Le Mans, so pretty interesting track there. Anyway, given that this is a track car, it gets worked pretty hard, and that's what we're going to be replacing today. Basically everything from the clutch back. The whole power line on this car is going to be getting replaced. Unfortunately, my counterpart Corvette Bill is a little sick today, so I just decided to come up here and just get started on this car. Then once he gets back, we'll really get into it. But just to show you some of the stuff that's getting replaced, we got a brand new transmission right there, brand new diff right there, a bunch of links in there, sway bar, there's a clutch around here somewhere. All sorts of stuff, all the bushings for that torque tube. So we'll show you how to replace those, how to recondition your torque tube on your C5s. And just underneath the car, all this is getting replaced. You can see our diff right there, transmission right there, the torque tube hidden under this little cover right there, but this exhaust is gonna have to come off so we can get access to that. And we're gonna, like I said, we'll be doing the clutch on it as well. But basically everything from right there all the way back is going to be getting replaced. And you can see, honestly, that's why, you know, these C5s and some of these Corvettes are such good track cars, just because of how they're set up with the transmission in the back, nicely balanced, a little bit of an archaic suspension system, but hey, it gets the job done. So like I said, this is going to be a pretty in-depth video of essentially replacing the whole power line on a C5 Corvette. Pretty interesting, and if you're a C5 Corvette owner who's never done something like this before, well, now you have a pretty good idea of what goes into it. You know, if you ever have to do any work, or God forbid you got to do a clutch. That's a lot of work. Alright everyone, a little show and tell. Made pretty quick work of getting most of this stuff taken apart. You can see, so this undershield you saw me take off, this is the torque tube right here. So you got your clutch up there, and you've got your transmission and your diff over here. What happens on these torque tubes is they've got these little rubber bushings on them. They kind of look like a puck, and they got like 5 holes in them, and they'll go bad. And it'll honestly sound like you got like a rod knock or something. Alrighty everyone, big change of plans here, because Corvette Bill is back, so we finally cracked open the box to see what we got and what we're all doing to this car, and it's not what we were originally expecting. So we'll come over here. Corvette Bill,
What's happening?
What do we got over here?
Well, we thought we were doing a driveline replacement, upgrade, modification. What happens when you unbox the parts? You find out what you truly got. Well, guess what we got? The monoleaf suspension front and rear, coming out, gone, bye-bye, garbage. Put that away aside. Now we're gonna run independent suspension on this thing. So now it's gonna be independent coilover suspension. So now he'll be able to adjust his ride height at the track or wherever he wants it or how he wants it. If he's got the reserve on it, so that way it's more the upgraded, you know, higher end suspension. Then on top of that, to take it a little step farther, you can actually corner balance this car. And what that means is each corner of the car can be balanced. So now with the coilover suspension on it, you can take and adjust, and like the right front is a little heavier than the left rear. You can now adjust each corner so the weight of the overall stance of the car is more even and platformed. Very critical when you start getting into high-end racing, track racing, stuff like that. You don't want one corner to be heavier. You get a little bit more tire wear. You won't get as better traction. It just takes this car to the next level. Well, then he's also doing upgraded sway bars, upgraded bushings, and you're probably asking yourself, what are all these brackets and these plates? And one of the things, I didn't know nothing about it. I had to do some research, talk to the Craig here at HP Performance, and he gave me a little insight on what I have never done before. This is actually a support system that goes from the trans to the differential, and it's almost like a metal knee brace for people that have issues. This is a brace to strengthen the trans, and it basically couples it together. So it makes it stronger, makes it more durable. I guess it's better for racing. So I don't know, didn't know, I know now. I think it's kind of cool, something we've never done on the channel, and something new for everybody out there that doesn't know nothing about it.
Yep, so you heard the man. This project just got a whole lot bigger, and we have got a lot of work to do. So I think we're just wasting time here, Bill. We gotta get started.
Yeah, let's start taking the rest of this stuff apart, and let's have some fun. Let's enjoy what we do like we always do.
Bill, it looks like you're taking this monoleaf down. You want to explain what you're doing here?
Yeah, we're taking this, monoleaf's got to come down. You got to take this little bolt out of here. This would adjust your ride height in the back on a monoleaf setup. And then you basically just slide it out. You don't really have to put anything underneath it to support it because obviously the suspension's hanging. Put it back together again, pull it out of the way. This is one of the things that we're changing out. We're taking this monoleaf out. We're taking the monoleaf suspension out, putting independent coilover shocks back in it. So that way you got cornering ability. It's supposed to ride a little better. There's a lot more that you can do to the car. Key note though, when you take that bolt out, before you take these two bolts out that are holding this monoleaf up on either side, make sure you support the one side with a jack, bottle jack, whatever you got to make sure it stays, put a little tension on it before you take these bolts out. Because once you do, this monoleaf is sitting in the car like this and it wants to naturally do this. So you got to take and slowly let this side down once you take these two bolts out so it doesn't just fling on you and hit you. Front's a little bit more dangerous than the back. Back's not so bad. Soon to be for sale, one Corvette monoleaf rear. Soon coming soon, front one too.
All right, now before we drop the entire power line out of the back of this car, because we're doing a coilover suspension on all four sides, I'm gonna go ahead and get these shocks undone, as well as drop the sway bar, and then we'll remove this front monoleaf here. Now that we got the front suspension all taken off, you can see Corvette Bill jumped in there real quick just to make sure that bottle jack didn't slip out on the monoleaf. It's a pretty good way to maim yourself if one of those gets loose. But the last thing you've got to undo here before you drop this tube and all the power line and everything is you got to remove your shifter assembly. That's this right here. Now this gentleman has a short throw shift assembly on this. You can see I went ahead and marked the reference on where the bolts were. Those are Torx bits. It's pretty simple just to get at this cover right here, this center console. You got a Torx bit right here. There's two back here, some 10 mils right here. Now this cigarette lighter, there's two more 10 mils under this center console in the back. You'll have to remove those and just kind of slide this out of the way so that you can remove this console so that you can remove the shifter assembly right here. Now you can see here it bolts up to the linkage with that little brass piece right there. So just want to make sure everything is in line exactly how it was when we put it back in. So now that we got that all out of the way, we're good to go ahead and start dropping this power line down. So we got our power line set up to come out, and I can't think of anyone better to ask than Corvette Bill. What's going on here?
Well, now we're moving on to the next step. We got to drop the cradle down on the rear so that way we can get the support off of it. Got a battle jack underneath the trans. like you see us do in a lot of our videos, we use the ratchet straps to kind of drop things down that have excess weight to them. We'll put a couple slings underneath here. We'll sling up the differential and trans. Normally we take the differential off to lighten the load, but we're changing everything. We're changing trans, we're changing the differential. We got to rebuild the torque tube, put new couplers in it. We got a new trans clutch to put in. So we're redoing the entire power line. So what we're doing right now is we've got it set up. Trans is supported, differential supported, back part of the torque tube is supported. We're going to drop the 4 bolts out, drop the cradle down. Then we're going to drop the back half of the, basically the power line down. Once we drop that down, we'll sling it like we normally do. Then we'll go up to the front, take out the torque tube bolts that go up into the trans. Once we do that, then we can pry it back. And then essentially what we'll have is the entire drive line sitting in slings, basically ratchet straps. We're going to drop it down on the ground and pop the ratchet straps. All stuff you can do at home if you're trying to do this on your own. One guy can do this. I used to do it for years on my own before we got Jack. Now with Jack here, it's a little easier. It's, you know, a little bit more maneuverable, but anybody can do this on their own.
You okay? Yeah. It's holding that front now. Good shit,
It's the extension I was using for the tube.
Don't forget, to share this guy, you always grabs the shortest too. Now he's grabbing the longest too.
Give me shit for it. Your mom needs rat poop. No, Scooby-Doo, your mom needs cat poop.
Waiting. Nobody move. Jack dropped his nut. Oh, you're cooking with butter, Jack.
Risky much.
I now present you disc.
Yes.
See big old burn marks in it.
Oh, yeah. She got hot, Clark.
Don't you know?
Don't you know?
All right, Bill, what were you just saying up here?
Well, I was saying, Jack, we got the clutch that we pulled out. You got the cover off the bottom. You take the pressure plate, the flight, and the clutch disc off. You can drop it down out of there and take the flywheel out. And he's like, well, it's pretty nice that we got this access panel on the bottom that we can do that to. Well, if you get really crafty, you've got a really heavy-duty trans jack. Just kind of a little something to think about next time you got to do one of these. You can actually take, and if you take the trans, the motor or the differential, however you want to classify it, some are trans, some are differential, take the mount out and you can drop that cradle down a little bit, it's still suspended, almost swing it like we did. You can drop that assembly down, slide it back. Obviously the front of the torque tube, you got, figure a foot, foot and a half to get clearance. But you can slide all that back if you're just in a hurry trying to put a clutch on one of these things. And you can drop it down and gain access. All you got to do is get that torque tube, that nub on the front of that torque tube, past the end of this case. You can drop everything down, put a new flywheel in, put a new pressure plate and stuff, line it back up, and then put it back in without really dropping all this stuff down and putting it back in. Little sketchy, can be done.
Now, while Bill is working on the suspension of this car, I am going to be working on our transmission differential cradle, which is these black pieces you can see right here. You can see we've got our torque tube and our trans and our diff separated from one another. We've already rebuilt the torque tube. Now, we have a whole separate video on these torque tubes that should already be uploaded that you can go watch. Just kind of diving into them, explaining exactly what they are, how they work, and how you can repair and recondition them when they eventually do go out in your Corvette, and they will. But what I'm working on right now, before we can put them back together, is this cradle right here. So the whole purpose of this cradle is trying to limit the torsional forces between the trans and the diff, because there's only like 5 bolts that hold the two of them together. And in a race application, you get a lot of force acting on one another between the tip and the trans, can cause a lot of issues. So this whole kit with these push rods right here, you can see it braces them together, and then we will tension them. So you can see they got these heim joints on either end, so we'll be able to tension them and make sure that it is as stiff as possible for the application that this car is going to be used on. So just putting the brackets on is easy enough. So you see we got one on either side here and this cross brace here, and then 2 pieces up here. Now we want to make sure we have a nice flat mating surface for this piece here. So you can see when I push this up against like this, you got gaps there all the way down. So this is not going to sit flush. So what I'm going to have to do really quick before we can mate these 2 pieces together is grind this nub down until it is even with the rest of these on either side, and then we'll finally be able to fix this all together and mount the torque tube to the rest of the assembly.
Where's my top bar and where's the bolts for it?
Here's your top. All right, and with all that, we have this whole unit ready to get strapped up and go in the car. Use number 1037 for our ratcheting ropes. You can make a plumb out of it, so that way we know that we've got it lined up properly. So when we go to lift it up, it'll be nice and center.
All right, now that we got it up, you see the ratchet straps. We kind of saved you the hassles of watching this go up with it. It wasn't comical or anything funny. But we actually got it up. We've got it where we need to. Get it under the trans jack, got it under the spin bottle jack. Now comes the fun part of getting this up, centering it, getting it in there, spinning the input shaft, get everything to line up. Hopefully if it goes the way it's supposed to, and it normally goes for me, I really don't battle with these things. A lot of guys battle with them, and if you got the right pitch, it's just gonna pop right in there. You should be good. How dare you use the sound of a monkey's uncle and name in vain? Yeah, you can pop everything. I know, Jack, we should switch it over to... Thanks for watching Ratchet Strap Garage.
Yeah, that's what we should have called it.
A little more. But it is in, it is together, it is supported. Look, all the supports are gone. And the ratchet straps. Yeah, I know we use ratchet straps a lot. Trust me when I say it makes a great safety. Doing it by yourself, they're really useful. And like Jack showed you earlier, I used the ratchet rope that I was talking about with the Camaro video, used it as a plumb bob. So it's, I'm the type of person, if I buy a tool, I'm going to use it for more than one purpose. It's not going to be just for that one purpose.
All right, now that we took a little momentary break, quick intermission, off camera we went ahead and got everything mounted up here. So you can see our lower ball joints are back in place, our axles are in, our coilovers are in, and our sway bars. So let's talk really quick just a little bit more about how much more adjustment we've added to this machine now. In previous videos, we've talked about the adjustment on the monoleaf, where there's the little nut right there that you can adjust, and it'll give you a little bit of a drop if you need. But now with these coilovers, we will have so much more adjustment on them. And the new sway bar as well, this is a spec sway bar, I believe, and they run fastest. This car does not have any aero. And so they say they run fastest in position 1, which is this one right here. And with the rear spoiler runs fastest in position 3. We are setting everything up in the neutral position so that way this guy can take this car out and he can set it up to his liking, whatever fits him best. So that's our rear end right there. We do still have to mount our reservoirs. Those are going to both go in the trunk. We'll show you that when we get to that. But if we come around to the front here, you can see we got our coilovers all buttoned up there, as well as our sway bar, which is significantly thicker than the factory unit. Again, that one doesn't have any sort of adjustable positions on it. However, we're running all the links in a neutral position right in the middle. So if he wants to make them tighter, he can, looser, he can, whatever he wants to do. But now with all of this adjustment, this Corvette, you know, and their Corvettes are pretty well set up from the factory to be able to adjust them. But now this thing has so much more potential, so much more ability for what this guy's going to be able to do to this thing on the track. All right, now that we've got our rear cradle, our trans, our diff all mounted up, and we got our coilovers installed, it's time to figure out exactly what we're going to do about the nitrogen reservoirs that go for these coilovers. Now, Corvette Bill and I have had a discussion about it, and we think we've got a pretty good place to mount them, all 4 of them, where they're going to be out of the way but easily accessible should the owner of this car ever need to get at them to adjust the pressure in them. So I'll take you around to the front of the car. You can see we've removed the battery and the battery tray. We're thinking the best place to mount this first one is going to be right along here. It will clear the battery, and that way you'll still be able to get the battery out with this reservoir here. They're only about 2 inches in diameter, so they're not taking up a ton of room. Now, what's really nice is I'm in the wheel well now. See this panel right here. We're going to move our reservoir in behind it, so we'll remove it from here, move it out of the way. We'll be able to get our reservoir and our line behind here, and then we'll just have to trim just a little half moon on either side, just big enough for the line to fit through. And you can see we've mounted these coilovers with the lines on the rear, so we'll be able to route them kind of behind this brake line, really tight up against the wheel well here and into the car there. So that's how the reservoir is going to get in. Same thing on the driver's side of the vehicle. We'll be able to route it nice and in and around along the wheel well. You can see we were bleeding our clutch here. Got our remote bleeder all good. And we're going to mount it right there. Right there. So with the nipple facing up. So again, super easy to access. For the rears, we don't have a panel we can take off. However, this right here goes right into the trunk. So what we're thinking about doing, again, we got the lines mounted on the back side of these coilovers. So we're going to punch a hole there and run it into the car right along the floor, put the line on the floor, and then we'll be able to mount it up. So you see we got this, all the carpeting pulled out of the way. We'll be able to just feed it right up here, mount the reservoir right there. So that way it's super easy to access, and it's not getting in the way of anything.
We got our hole cut. We're securing the line over here to the electrical connector, so that way it stays out of our way. The biggest thing is taking into account that you're going to have a little bit of flex movement here, and you're going to have to take into account where the suspension is, where the body of the car is in the framing, so that way you leave a little bit of wiggle room. So if it adjusts, it's got a little bit of room to adjust. Now we'll start working on that puck that we drilled out of here. I'll start getting that set up, and basically the wire is going to, this line will sit right here. We'll use weather strip caulking to cushion it underneath it, but also seal this up. So we'll put the original cap back in place. We'll have a little provision notched out for the line to go into the trunk space. We'll have weather strip caulk on the outside of it, but I'll also have it on the inside too. And then I'll put a plate on the backside. So what it'll do is you got the puck, and then there'll be a plate on the backside pushing that plate out. Obviously, naturally driving down, performance, everything else like that, you got a lot of airflow going at that puck. You don't want to pop it in. So we'll put a little cross plate on the backside with a couple of sheet metal screws, and then it'll keep that plate in place. But the weather strip caulk will keep the water out, the moisture out, and stuff like that, so we won't have any issues. That'll hold it for now until we get the cap on the back of it, put the strap on so it keeps that cap from falling into the trunk, and then we can go and re-secure everything with the weather strip caulk and seal it finally. All right, now we got it in. Obviously, we got a screw here and a screw point here, which is no big deal on these 2 points. But I put another one through the center. So you saw that we cut the puck out, weathercocked it so it would hold it in place. Then we put a plastic panel on the inside to secure it so it won't, force won't draw it back through. And then once we did that, in order to keep this puck from even remotely moving out, we used the center hole from the drill and the hole saw to secure it to that. So we're sandwiching it together. So there should be enough structure between that, the weathercock and everything else like that. This should be sealed. You can see it's not moving anywhere. It's not going anywhere. So that pretty much caps that hole up. Now we're going to move on to the front and get the front reservoirs installed. Like a glove.
Well,
We are going to have to most likely make a braquette. Honestly, I think that's the way we should go. Because this tab will mount here. This tab will secure here. And I think we should just take this reservoir for lack of options and confined space. I think we're just going to go right here with it. That way he's got easy access to it. And then we just got to see what kind of room. We got to grab the fingers of the hook, pull that up and see if we can go with our original location. But I think this is where we're going to go with this.
Now at this point you might be asking yourself, okay, they got the reservoirs in the car, but how did they mount them? Well, let me show you exactly how we mounted them. We're pretty proud. We're pretty proud of how they looked. Originally we were thinking about maybe getting some ignition coil holders. Then I found these clamps, 2-inch rubber insulated clamps. So that way fits perfectly in there, looks factory. You can get at it if you need to add any nitrogen to the system. You can see here, you can push it and it will not, so you can put pressure on it as if, we're simulating putting a line on here, and it won't let it go. So those are held in there nice and sturdy, and you can see snakes under the carpet. So super stealth, super clean. Now for the fronts, you can see we got the one mounted there. Easy access from the top if you need to fill it or change the pressure in the system. And over here, got this one right here, just inside the battery. This was the best place to put it. We were originally going to try to put it on the back wall. Not going to work with the amount of line we had and how you'd have to route it. And this will be clear of the hood. You might also notice this car's on the ground. We took a bit of a guess when we were setting this up as to how high we should go. And just for the start, it's just barely higher than stock. But again, these springs are going to settle, and this is just the preliminary setting, just so that we could get everything on the car. But that looks pretty darn good. And this, the owner of this car is going to have like another 4 inches if he really wanted to drop this thing down. But it's got a really nice stance to it, some nice camber up in the front. Car looks really good. So it's late. It's the following morning. Bill and I have been working pretty hard, but this car is done. In the next clip, you're going to see us. We're going to take it out on the road. We're going to show you how it drives. Alrighty everyone, now in that last clip you saw us take it out for a drive for the first time and it felt really good. You'll notice if you want to go back and watch it again, there's very, very minimal body roll. So this car is definitely a lot stiffer. But the problem is when we brought it back in, I went to go lock the coilovers down and set the ride height on it and something was dripping on my head. Yep, water pump took a dump. Out, gone. So you'll notice the car is behind me and on the ground. We have replaced the water pump and adjusted the ride height. So it's about an inch lower now. I think this looks a heck of a lot better. Alright everyone, that's going to do it for us here at Antiques Garage. Let's just recap really quick what we did to this car to completely transform its trackability. We got a brand new transmission, a brand new differential, a cradle to connect the two of them and make them nice and stiff. We ditched the monolith front and rear and went to adjustable coilovers all the way around, and we did updated sway bars as well. Bill, how to drive?
Handleability on this car, world of difference. If you're used to driving with a monolith, you decide that you're like, I want to upgrade it and go a little something better. Go with a high-end coilover suspension on this thing, get rid of the monoliths. If you adjust the compression rate and the rebound rate, we've got it set in the middle, everything's set in the middle on this for the customer. So that way he can set it as he desires. He's got to probably adjust the ride height a little bit. We got weight on it now, so we've got it about a 1/4 inch above what it is, so it'll come down a little more because he had custom specs. The drivability of this car, difference in night and day. Difference in night and day. It takes a car that's like your average car and makes it even more of a sports car and a lot more fun to drive. And I drive a lot of these cars. I am so used to the monolith, and now that I drove it with the 4-link, with the independent suspension on it now, I would definitely do this as an upgrade if I had one.
It's crazy, it really is. Like there's zero body roll. And it just goes to show you, this might be an old car. What is this, a 99, 2000? It's old.
Yeah, something like that, early 2000s.
This is a 25-year-old car, and we have completely transformed its ability. Now we have technology, people. So you can upgrade these cars and really, really bring so much more out of them than what they came from the factory. And they were pretty well set up when they were new.
Yeah, they were fun.
Yeah, so again, thank you guys so much for watching. We appreciate every single one of you. The channel grows every day, and we are so thankful that each of you are joining us and having fun and watching us and interacting with us in the comment section. So as always, please remember to like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell icon too. I know I've said it before, but I'll say it again. It's just me and Bill working on the cars. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer for us to get them done and put a video out for you, so you don't want to miss. So make sure you hit that bell so you don't miss when we do put out a new video. We got a lot of good stuff coming, and we're not gonna say anything yet. But
we got some really fun stuff coming.
There's good stuff.
We're always trying to give you guys new stuff, new and improved, fun to watch. We don't try to do any redundancy on a lot of stuff, but if it is an upgrade to what we normally do, we're gonna film it.
Yep. So as always, guys, thank you so much, and we'll see you next time.